Welcome to Southern Orthopedic PrepZone Wrap-Up, driven by Carl Cannon.
Hey everybody, James Phillips and Brian Hale. This is a DMV PrepZone Wrap-Up for Week 7, Brian. And man, what a week it was, right?
Yeah, everybody in action, with the exception of Winston County, who...
Well, they should have been in action.
Yeah, they should have been in action, but unfortunately, forfeit, all they could do is take the forfeit win and use this week to prep up.
A win is a win, though.
Mm-hmm, it is.
So we did mention Winston County beats Midfield by forfeit. Midfield has canceled their season.
Yep.
And I don't even know if it was COVID. I think it's just they were running out of players.
Because a good possibility of it.
I don't think that was even COVID related. I'm on DMVPrepZone.com. If you're not at home, go there. You can follow us and see how we're going about the games here. Okay, Jasper. Tough loss for Jasper tonight, 38-17 to Minor. Really a lot closer than what that score says.
Yeah, I was checking in occasionally on it. Saw it was 13-3 at one time. And then I saw later on it was 20-10, which, you're just kind of like, okay, well, Jasper's still in this game.
Right.
And I didn't check any more for a while, and then I saw it was quite different. It
was actually 13-10 at one point in the third quarter, and Jasper looked to be taking the lead on a long run by Mason Slaughter. It was a 49-yard run, I believe. Mm-hmm. A holding call, which me and everybody else on the Jasper sideline and the Jasper stands, nobody saw that hold. Nobody even saw Jasper got close to where the flag was flown. And that called it back, and then 4 plays later, I think it was a 65-yard throw by Minor, and they score, and that's when it was 20-10. And that was just such a big punch to the gut for Jasper that they just couldn't come back from that.
Yeah, and I mean it's classically what we've been talking about all year long.
Right.
Jasper doesn't need to be in 6A.
Right.
They need to be in 5A. I think that's what we saw last week.
Yeah.
And I think if they were back playing 5A opponents, this would be a much different season. Would they, go 8-2, 9-1, something like that? No. But I think the worst that we would probably see would be a 6-win season at worst.
Right. Well, and Jasper put in Preston Reed at quarterback tonight. He played a pretty good game, didn't throw the ball a lot or not for much yardage, but ran the ball well, kind of controlled the offense. They actually got some first downs tonight. Mm-hmm. Looked much better than they have the last several weeks. And now they will come back home and look to face Jackson Olin, but there's a question mark there because Jackson Olin forfeited Friday night due to COVID. Against Clay Chalkville, so that game may not happen.
Well, there's teams out there that are having to take forfeit wins also next week, so there should be some availability, just getting them to come.
Well, Coach Bailey has told me he would, if it does have to be a forfeit, that he will do everything in his power to get somebody here to play. Mm-hmm. But that's still a forfeit win in the region, one way or the other.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's go to now Addison. They got it rolling tonight against Cold Springs, 50-14.
Well, it's a lot different when you're actually playing another 2A opponent and then playing everybody that's 2 classifications above you.
Right.
And we expected this. I mean, honestly, right now, Addison, as long as they're playing a 2A opponent that's, at least going to be able to put up a fight, I think that's honestly, Addison's going to run it.
Right, yeah. And Addison, looking at their schedule, looking ahead, they should roll straight through the regular season, I think.
Could have a rematch with Aliceville again.
That's right. Next game, this one was really close for a long time. It kind of surprised me as I was looking over the scores throughout the night. JB Pennington beats Carbon Hill 35-12, but they really just kind of poured it on at the end. They scored 14 points in the fourth quarter. Carbon Hill hanging in there in this one.
Yeah, I mean, the last time we had checked on it, I believe this was right after halftime. It was 14-12 JB Pennington. Mm-hmm. And I was just kind of like, wow, Carbon Hill, let's go. And then, of course, it blew open. I think the numbers might have just taken over, but hey, really good showing for Carbon Hill for quite a while there. That shows that they can still do it.
They've got some fight in them. Mm-hmm. The Bulldogs got some fight in them. How about Winona at Cordova? This game seemed like it was an odd, tale of two halves. Winona jumps up, I believe it was 21-0 at one point. And then Cordova kind of storms back. Winona wins at 28-21.
And James, I honestly believe that this year, Cordova, just like Jasper, the problem is they're in the wrong classification.
Right, they're playing a league above where they probably should be.
Yeah, I mean, when they were in the same classification as not Dora, but when they're in the same classification as Curry, when they're all in Class 4A, to me, this works out a lot better.
Right.
Just the same with Jasper.
Right.
Cordova, I believe, with the numbers a little bit differently, would be exactly where they need to be, but they're just coming up a little bit short, and I think it's got to be the numbers situation.
Right. Hey, here's one of our local teams that's gotten on a roll lately. Corner, 35-33 winners over Lincoln. That sounds like it was a heck of a ball game.
Yeah, and it seems like Corner does this every year. They have a big victory over Dora, and then all of a sudden they completely move their system, their whole season in reverse.
Right.
And now Corner's going to be dangerous for anybody that's out there.
Well, each of the past 2 seasons we've seen them do this, and they come on really strong in the second half. Maybe that's what we're going to see out of Corner the rest of this season.
Hope so.
Here's one that was the battle of the 2 teams that have not won a game this year. Oak Grove and Curry. Oak Grove wins it 49-36, but that's a lot of points for these 2 teams to be putting up.
Well, it was really similar to last year. I think last year was 55-38, I believe, somewhere right around in there. So it's basically it's almost exactly the same outcome.
Right.
But realistically, not really that surprising. I just think right now that Curry's almost going through the motions now.
Yeah, I think so. And they really are struggling roster size, numbers wise, to be in the classification that they're in. They're facing. Even Oak Grove's got more players than Curry at this point.
Well, I don't know if we shared this, but last week there was a count done, and Winston County actually had 4 more players than Curry did. That's a 2A.
Yeah, they're 2A.
Yeah.
Here's one that surprised me just how close it was. Dora wins 39-27 over Fultondale, but it was 24-20 at halftime.
Yeah, and I remember seeing just after a short break, it was 24-7, Dora. And then I looked down and Fultondale was in the lead.
Right.
And I'm going like, what happened?
Yeah.
But there's something we got to take away from this, James, is Dora has stopped the slide.
Right.
They've gotten that first win now. Now it's up to them. Can they use that and propel themselves forward?
Right.
Because we know they're capable of doing this.
They are, yeah. And they've got some tough games coming up. They still got Etowah on the schedule. It's not gonna be easy the rest of the way for the Bulldogs.
No, it's not. But there's plenty of experience on that team.
Right.
I don't know if it's a lack of cohesion, what has come up, but we know that they're capable of doing this.
We know that they've also been switching parts around. People have been hurt or different instances of people having to sit. And so it's been kind of a moving deal for Dora a lot of times throughout the year. But they come up with a win. A win's a win. That's what you need. Lynn and Barry puts it on Lynn 36-0. I think the Bears are just overmatched in this one.
Yeah, they are. And, I mean, Barry, there's some 1A teams right now in that region that are having better than average years. Very brilliant out there that are really doing well. And right now, it's going to come to a head next week. Lynn meets Meek.
I was about to say Lynn might get healthy next week because they will play Meek. Meek, winless on the year, they lose to Marion County 43-16.
Yeah, and that's not really that surprising. I mean, you look at similar opponents, it kind of lined up that way.
Right. Hey, here's another one of our local teams doing well. Summerton Christian 12-6. Summerton Christian scores late to win that one. And this was one we really kind of challenged Summerton Christian in our previous show on Game Time. We said, hey, you got to show us something before we're going to pick you over a team that was 4-2 coming in. The Eagles did just that. Now next week, Summerton Christian is going to be our game of the week.
And that's a quality win.
That is.
That is big-time quality. Look, I think that right now, Summerton Christian has just been through the absolute minefield ever since they've started the season. Just one home game before this one.
Right, yeah.
And I think that has really helped them because, look, they're finally at home. They finally don't have to take long trips. Now they can really concentrate on getting themselves up with it. This was big and pivotal, James. I honestly believe now that Summoning Christian can really make themselves a hard run to the playoffs.
Yeah, I think so too.
And think about it. You're talking about combined just a few plays, and this team could easily be either undefeated or possibly, with just one loss on the season.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, they played very close. 2 really close losses. And I had somebody message us tonight, and they were letting us know that Sumter Christian won big and got a win. And they were hoping to see more than a few lines in the paper tomorrow, which they'll see more than a few lines. We had a photographer out there taking photos. It's tough for us to get to games when they're on the state lines.
Yeah.
And so that's why we haven't been at a lot of Summerton's games this year. We just don't have somebody to go 2.5, 3 hours away. But this week there'll be our game of the week. You'll be there.
Absolutely.
And we'll be doing our game time show, talking to some of the Sumter Christian kids and Coach Powell over there too.
Yeah, absolutely. We're looking forward to it.
Southern Orthopedic Prep Zone Wrap-Up, driven by Carl Cannon. Presented by Kilgore Green Funeral Home, Nelson, Bryan and Cross, Bank of Walker County, Jasper Main Street, Southern Orthopedic, and Carl Cannon.
All right, now, last game of the week. Got Oakman, and they were hosting Susan Moore, and Oakman really put it on them. We thought this would be a close game, but the Wildcats go up 33-0. Is that right?
Yeah. They
win at 33-7?
They win at 33-7 with 1 minute, 17 seconds left on the clock. Susan Moore threw a touchdown pass. When we take
Oakman probably had the Toy Bowl guys in by that point.
Well, they had their 2s and 3s in since midway through the third quarter.
Right.
So, yeah, this was guys that had been subbing for quite a while.
Right.
But, JP, I'm going to tell you, Oakman, 409 yards total is what they had. Susan Moore ended up with 93. Before that very last drive, they only had 40 yards.
Right.
I mean, you're talking complete domination of this game. The best pass defense that I've seen at a high school level was from Oakman. They only allowed Susan Moore 1 of 17 completions. This was not a lot of overthrown or underthrown balls. No, this was pass breakups. This was interceptions. Tremendous pass defense by Oakman. And then, look, Bubba Odom had a great game. He was 10 of 19 for 186 yards. He had great help from his receivers. Look, the offensive line was opening holes. Caden Marchbanks and Derek Hubbard were having great nights. Top to bottom, this was just a signature win for this Oakman program over pretty much what it needed to do to clinch a playoff.
Right, yeah. I mean, they'll definitely be in the playoffs, and more than likely, they'll if they handle business, they'll finish as the number 2 seed in that region.
Yeah, and I mean, right now, you look, their biggest matchup to me is going to be next week. A lot of people will say, well, Vinemont got beat by J.B. Pennington a few weeks ago, 54-0.
Right. Yeah.
They're all over the page. They lost by 10 points tonight to Vinemont. To Winfield. So they're kind of all over page. You don't know what to get for them.
Right.
Carbon Hill, I think, is going to be the tougher because it's an in-county region.
Right.
Carbon Hill had a pretty good showing against J.B. Pennington. To me, they're more dangerous next week.
Carbon Hill's going to want this game with Oakland.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, they're two relatively close-by communities. It's going to be big. It's going to be real big. Oakman gets that. I think, honestly, they're going to lock up the second-place spot. If Carbon Hill gets that, then Oakman's got a lot of work they got to do and hope things fall into place.
I think the winner of the Oakman Carbon Hill game each year should get to claim the Townley Rest Stop as their location. You know, like maybe they could plant a flag there at the rest stop that is either a Wildcat flag or a Bulldog flag. Because it's kind of in the middle of the two.
Yeah, the trophy would be a toilet lid seat.
Toilet lid seat, or I was thinking maybe a golden plunger or something.
Make it blue, since both teams say.
Yeah, sometimes toilet water's a little blue too.
Yeah, it really depends on your play. Don't ever stick your hand in it though. It takes forever to. You look like a Smurf.
I haven't done that. No, but thanks for the tip.
Yeah, it was on The Abyss. You ever seen that
Oh,
movie?
yeah, that's right.
Ed Harris, you know.
Yep. Okay, I got you. Well, anything else, Brian? That's it for high school for this week, week 7. Got some Alabama going on tomorrow, some Auburn and Georgia.
Yep. Bama's, of course, got an interesting matchup. I don't think it's going to go too hard, but it is interesting with Texas A&M. Auburn, Georgia is going to be.
Yeah, that's going to be a barn burner there. I can't wait to see that.
Go South Carolina. Go Gamecocks.
I know you're pulling for them over the Gators.
Absolutely. And we'll be compiling Player of the Week.
That's true.
Tomorrow.
Player of the Week. We got to be looking at Oakman. Got to be looking at Summit Christian. Maybe Corner.
Yeah.
Some of these teams that won tonight. And you know who I want to see another lineman. You know, we gave Dora's lineman earlier in the year. We need a lineman to win too.
Well, absolutely. Quite a few linemen for tonight stood out for Oakman. A.J. Odom had 7 tackles, quarterback sack, tackle for a loss. He was in on quite a few things.
Yeah.
We would love to hear about that.
Yeah.
By the way, we need to give it 2 shout-outs.
Okay.
We really need to. First and foremost, with it being Oakman, I did this on the air. Dr. Joel Haygood and the staff at the BOE really came together to get us a Wi-Fi password because anybody who's listened to our broadcast at Oakman knows we've had a lot of problems getting stuff established because of the lack of cell phone coverage down there. Tonight, we came through with flying colors. Big thanks to Dr. Haygood and his staff.
That's right.
For helping us get through that.
Who's your other shout out?
We got to give a shout out to Brett Elmore. You know, the voiceovers, every single time that you hear the voiceovers, the startup programs, the in-betweens, Brett's done a great job.
He's got a golden voice.
Yeah. So we've got to give 2 signature shouts out to both of those gentlemen and the staff at the BOE.
And we need to say thanks to our ever-present producer and cameraman, Jeffrey Winborn, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he does a great job. People didn't realize we get to come here and talk about football for 20 minutes, and then Jeffrey goes home and works from the house to edit this thing and make it look good. And sometimes that's difficult with the job that we do.
It is. Then on top of that, he does a spectacular job with wrestling. Which, by the way, I saw one of your wrestlers tonight.
Oh, you had to bump into Cody Wyndham.
Yeah, and as frustrated I was getting with referees throwing out flags and stopping what was already a blowout game with useless penalties, I was about to send Cody down there to give one of the referees a chair shot and a pile driver.
Well, he'll do that. He piled over a referee a couple weeks ago, and I've still got to lay out a fine for that probably. And coming up, I've got a pretty good match planned for him here it'll be next Saturday, actually. At Lupton School. I don't want to give it away yet because I want to release it this week on the New Era Wrestling Facebook page, but Cody may have an opportunity at some gold this next Saturday.
Wow. Yeah. Look out. Yeah.
So, Brian, as always, it's great sharing the table here with you.
Absolutely, sir.
And we appreciate you guys always tuning in and listening to us babble a little bit about high school football. We pretend like we know what we're talking about. So, Brian, anything else? We're good.
Have a good week, everybody. We will see you back here within a couple of days. Oh, and somebody's going to get Player of the Week.
That's right. All right, guys. We'll see you next week. For Brian, I'm James. See you then.